Good morning. Friday. It's Friday. You made it. You made it through the week. They let us get to Friday once again. Here we are. Warm day here in the Mile High City. We were all commenting. It's normally nice and cool. Maybe even sometimes a little bit too cool here in the studio. But it's nice and toasty, so I'm hoodied up for nothing. But nice day outside despite the smoke and the nastiness in the air. It's Olympic opening ceremonies day. I saw Deadpool and Wolverine last night. It was absolutely fantastic. Best Marvel movie easily since Endgame for me. And I think that's even a top 5 Marvel movie for me in general. Couldn't recommend it more. It was absolutely fantastic. I'm getting a couple head nods from the control room over here. But yeah, so that was great last night. But we're here. We're here to talk about Olympics. We are 1 hour, less than an hour from the official open of the 2024 Paris Olympic Games and the opening ceremonies on the Seine River. We're going to get it queued up here. We're all already talking here in the studio about, oh boy, we better really prioritize getting work done right now in the next 60 minutes, because I don't know how much work's going to be getting done over the next 2 weeks with the Olympic Games going all day long. But it will be a historic first of its kind type event coming down the Seine River for the first time. The Olympic ceremonies will not be held in a stadium. Look at the shot right here. I think we got it queued up. Look at that. Obviously, a little bit of computer animation added to that one. But that is going to be what the scene will look like here. And like I said, about an hour from now, as countries and athletes will parade down the Seine River to the base of the Eiffel Tower, bearing their country's flags for the opening ceremonies. And of course, those opening ceremonies always conclude with the torch being carried into the city, normally into the stadium, and the Olympic torch, the big Olympic torch being lit for 2 weeks. That will happen here in about an hour. And one of the final torch bearers running this morning was none other than the United States' own Snoop Dogg. Snoop D-O-double-G, of course, just continuing to he's a mogul. He's a mogul, folks. I love to see this. We've talked on the week leading up to these games. Liv talked about it yesterday. Trying to figure out what it is. What is it about these Olympics that feels like it's missing a little bit, right? Now, I also want to point out, because I talked about this on Wednesday, then I spent 2 days just getting roasted here in the studio for people saying that I wasn't excited for the Olympics. And I said, no, it's the exact opposite. I'm super excited for the Olympics, and I'm bummed that it feels like it's not as big of a deal as it used to be. I like that Snoop Dogg is involved, because suddenly this is a pop culture moment, and it's maybe a nice reminder for everyone that this is happening, that the Olympics are getting underway today, and that you should be excited to watch it. Snoop Dogg was I think when he arrived in near the Olympic Village in Paris, because he was carrying the torch in Paris, like just the energy around him, the crowd. I think we got a video of him, queued up right here. And again, like there's a bunch of these types of scenes coming out on Twitter from the torch arriving in the Olympic Village, and just really the yes, games have gotten started. We're going to talk a little about some of those here in just a minute. But this is the official kickoff. This is the big celebration. This is the party saying, we're here, we're in Paris, we're underway. And really, this is about human athletic excellence and human excellence in general. And I was reading an article yesterday that talked about, with how much more access we have to these athletes and the knowledge about what goes into it and the training and the access to information, that this should actually be an Olympic Games that is more exciting and more anticipated than normal, because we now understand, we have a great grasp over what goes into these athletes getting to this moment. I was also reminded of, I believe it was not last Winter Olympics, but the Winter Olympics before that, there was a U.S. competitor who found a loophole in the IOC's qualification process, and she went and won, however many or placed top 30 and however many snowboarding half-pipe events that she needed to qualify for the Olympics. Now, the loophole she exploited was she found and competed in events around the country that only featured 30 or fewer contestants. So she only had top 30 finishes, which is what's required to qualify for the Olympics. And she ended up going down. Do you guys remember this? She went down and she hit the half pipe. Like she literally just landed on her feet. No tricks, not much air. I'll see if I can find the video. We can talk about it on Monday. But it was one of those things where here was this completely average amateur athlete who, give him a little bit of credit, those half pipes are steep at the Olympics. So they made it all the way down without falling, none of that. But it gave you a sense of like, this is your average, maybe even above average athlete. Good athletic ability, good core strength, great balance, et cetera, et cetera. And to see the difference between them and true Olympic athletes, like I hope that people think about that, and I hope that resonates over the next 2 weeks as we watch really some really special stuff. And like I said, today should be the kickoff of a big celebration and just the start of a 2-week party. However, it's the Olympics, it's international competition, and that means that, of course, they're going to be ripe with drama and controversy. Kicking it off, the original report was that the Australian men's BMX team had their van broken into in Paris with items stolen out of the back. Items were all recovered, and they found them actually dumped near the break-in site where robbers had allegedly broken in through the window, stolen the belongings, rummaged through them, ate some of their chocolate, and then left them nearby. So that was the original report coming out of the Olympics. And it was kind of this big, like, wow, welcome to Paris for the Olympics moment. However, new reporting has surfaced in the last 24 hours that this robbery took place not in Paris, France, but actually in Brussels, days before the Australian team headed up to Paris for the Olympic Games. They were in Brussels training, using practice facilities, getting in rides, things like that, getting ready to head to Paris, France when their van was broken into. So while, yes, this does involve Olympic teams, Olympic athletes, and stuff being stolen, this did not take place in Paris at the Olympic Games, according to the IOC and Reuters on a fact checked this morning. So good news that it's not happening in Paris. Good news that they got all their belongings back. Bad news they had all their chocolate eaten by people who smashed in the windows of their van. But again, just happy to see that this isn't happening in Paris, making people feel unsafe. Obviously, this is an event with security heightened to the absolute max. And there's already been a few reports of whether they be false flag or semi-credible threats towards the Olympics. And look, this is not something that I think is wildly out of the ordinary. Unfortunately, for these types of events that are on this scale, any kind of potential threat is taken very seriously. Security is heightened, like I said, to the absolute max. So you're happy to hear that this isn't happening in and around the Olympic Village, that, teams, athletes are vulnerable to this type of stuff going on, as was originally reported near the Olympics in Paris, France. So there's one good bit of news, I guess, if you consider that good news. However, Jay, you guys sold me on soccer here during the Euro Cup and Copa America. It's just too much drama, man. It's just too much drama. I just can't get into it. You can't keep me in it. There's just too much drama. There's too much craziness that goes on. Seems like every time I turn on a soccer match. Last time it was men's soccer. We're starting the soccer controversy conversation with women's soccer this time in Team Canada. Now a well-documented incident involving Canada's head coach, Pat, and I want to get her last name right, Oh, excuse me. Bev Priestman. I was thinking Pat Bevman. Bev Priestman, head coach for Team Canada, was caught using a drone to spy on opponents during practice sessions here at the Olympics. Originally, Canada's head coach has said that she wasn't going to coach in the game against New Zealand, which is who they were caught spying against. So that was what originally she had happened. She come out and said, well, okay, I'm caught. I won't coach in that game. Won't coach in that game. Keep in mind, Canada is the defending Olympic gold medalist. They are going for back-to-back gold medals in this year's Olympic Games. Bev Priestman was their head coach in 2020. Well, I guess it was technically 2021 when they did those games. But in 2020, and now she has been, as of last night, suspended for the remainder of the 2024 Olympic Games, as they've just barely gotten going, as she was caught spying using a drone during New Zealand's practice in the opening practice days of the Olympic Games. Now Canada will be coached by head coach Andy Spence for the rest of the way as they look to defend their gold medal. Look, we've heard of practice spying incidents before. We've heard of teams using cameras. I do find it interesting that they're using a drone for this. That does not seem like the most stealth way to do it to me. Have you ever been in the vicinity of a drone? They're loud. They make a lot of noise. They have flashing lights on them. Again, I'd love maybe a little bit more insight into how this actually went down. But when my first thought when I heard, oh yeah, Canada got caught spying on New Zealand's practice, they were filming it. It's like, whoa, holy smokes, no way. What happened? They're like, oh yeah, they were using a drone. It's like, oh, duh, they got caught. Yeah, obviously. You do wonder when you get to this stage, you've had the success on the international stage that Canada's had, including head coach Bev Priestman. You wonder why? Why'd you do this? What was the best possible outcome coming out of this for Bev Priestman? You're the defending top team in the world at the Olympics. And in this format, you've been there, you've done that, you know what it takes. You had the underdog mentality last time. You get to come in this time as one of the favorites. I don't get what she stood to gain out of this. Wildly disappointing for, I'm sure, the Olympic Committee, and I can't even imagine how disappointing this has to be for Canadian soccer officials, who I know had very high hopes coming back into this Olympics. Again, looking to defend their title after really what I remember being a pretty thrilling run to a gold medal for Team Canada just 3 years ago. So the drama continues to unfold on the soccer side. This one in the case of cheating, attempted cheating. You got caught. Team Canada now without their head coach. But now let's take it back over to the men's side. And well, if it isn't Argentina again causing problems. There's a lot of layers to this one. So how do we unpack this? Well, and now part of this, I'm going a little bit based off of what Jay has told me, and he led me down a specific path with my research here. Now, I came to find out that Argentina, for many, many years, has been the focal point, the center of a lot of controversy and suspected match fixing. Is that maybe a right way of putting it? I'm getting kind of a waffly back and forth. Look, there's been a lot of instances over the years where, man, that seemed to go their way. I'm not saying it was wrong, but oof, that was a little ticky-tack and it tipped Argentina's way. Or, man, they added just a little bit more extra time and they were able to get the goal they needed. A lot of instances like that, if you dig back over the last 10 to 15 years, 5 to 10. And the Olympics kick off Argentina and Morocco, and right back into it. So let's begin to peel back the layers of this one and what led to the scene that you're seeing here on the screen. So Argentina was down 2-1 to Morocco in the first game of the Olympics. Again, Argentina coming off a Euro Cup win just a couple weeks ago. Yes, this is a different format. This is under 23s. You're allowed to have a couple more players that aren't 23 on your roster, but like Messi's not out there, even though this is the Olympics. So again, they just won a couple weeks ago at the Euro Cup, but this isn't the same team. So they're down 2-1 to Morocco as we hit the 90th minute. Now, as you guys have heard me talk about before, instead of doing what every other sport in the history of sports has done and stop the clock when the ball goes out of play, soccer just tells us to trust them, that they're keeping an accurate stopwatch somewhere. Someone in there has it, and I'm sure they're right on it with exactly how much time has been used for stoppages and injury time, etc. So we hit the 90th minute with Argentina down 2-1, and the clock keeps going and keeps going and keeps going and keeps going all the way up to an announced 15th extra minute. My time watching soccer, that seems like a lot. I'm going to stop just short of saying unprecedented like we do for everything else in this country right now, but I haven't heard of that. That's a lot of extra time. At that point, it feels like you're spilling over into an overtime period. But sure enough, we approached the 15th minute, and Morocco still leading 2-1, hanging on by the skin of their teeth. And sure enough, the 15th minute comes and goes, and in the 16th minute, Argentina scores to tie the game at 2-2. This led to some unrest in the stands from Morocco fans saying, what is going on here? 15 minutes already added. Now you let it go beyond the 15th minute till they were able to tie the game. Where this now takes the next turn is Morocco fans begin taking their frustration out on the pit, flooding the field, throwing cans, bottles, and other projectiles at the Argentinian players and the officials. It got so bad at one point, players and officials were instructed to leave the field and the stands were ordered to be cleared out. After about 30 minutes off the field, officials summoned the players back onto the pitch to say that they had looked at the VAR system, and determined the goal was offside. It didn't even count. So after all of that, all the extra time, players being pelted, officials being pelted by fans, fans storming the pitch in protest, the goal didn't even count because the guy's big toe was offside. I'm telling you, Jay, if I told you, hey, here's this new sport you've never heard of, and I just described that to you, you'd be like, I never want to watch that in my life. They added, I believe it was 2.5 or 3 more minutes of extra time after the players, 3 extra minutes, three more minutes of extra time after the players came back onto the pitch, which Morocco held on and ultimately won the game 2-1. However, that game was at one point listed as a 2-2 draw at full time. So they had to kind of undo the result, appropriate depending on who you're asking, apply the offside rule because his big toenail had overgrown a little bit too much and was technically behind the last defender's heel. And Morocco wins the game 2-1. So out of all that, you get a 2-1 finish in an under-23 soccer game. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm trying to get on the soccer train. I really am. Morocco takes a 2-1 over Argentina. Good start for them to the Olympic Games. Those soccer matches have been in full swing now for the last 2 days. They keep going today, along with rugby sevens. I believe shooting and archery have also already officially started. We are still 40 minutes away from the opening ceremonies, which are kind of the official kickoff of everything else. Staying in soccer, a little bit of positive news. And something I can get on board with coming out of women's soccer at the Olympics. History being made by Colorado athletes already. Mallory Swanson Colorado's own helps lead the U.S. women's soccer team to a 3-0 win over Zambia to kick off the Olympic Games. And why was her performance historic? 2 goals in 66 seconds, separated by just a minute and 6 seconds. It's tied for the fastest 2 goals in women's Olympic soccer history. I always find that kind of stuff crazy. You see those types of records every now and then happen, fall in the NHL, where it's like he tied the fastest goal ever to be scored at the start of a game at 4.8 seconds. And it's like, you're kidding me. 2 people tied at exactly that amount of time. I find that a little bit crazy, right? The fact that there's been 2 women's soccer players who have scored 2 goals 66 seconds apart at the Olympics, like that just seems like a what are the odds type of moment, and it feels like the odds aren't very good. But Colorado's own Mallory Swanson getting things going. Colorado represented by 3 athletes on the U.S. women's Olympic team, including the captain of the team. Keep an eye on women's Olympic soccer going forward. Them and maybe now the new favorite, given all the drama that has unfolded around Team Canada. Great to see that from Mallory. Great to see it for Team USA to get out to a quick win over Zambia. Get out to a 1-0. Yes, Zambia only has 10 players on their roster. They're a little bit of a shorthanded team. I don't think this is necessarily a we're back type situation for Team USA women's soccer. But got to win the games you got to win, right? You can only play who's on your schedule. Got to take care of business. That's what I feel they did here today, technically, but it was in the middle of the night for us. So good start for women's U.S. soccer. Sticking with the Olympic theme, but stepping into a little bit of breaking news here from yesterday. The Olympic, all right, sorry. I had some breaking NHLPA player assistance program news on my phone for Patrick Laine, not Val Nichushkin. Patrick Laine has been cleared by the NHLPA to re-enter the league. I saw player assistance program and has been cleared, and my heart sank a little bit like, well, we're getting Val breaking news live on the air, but not quite the case. Columbus Blue Jackets and former Winnipeg Jet Patrick Laine is who the news was about. False alarm, everybody. False alarm. As I was saying, the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, has officially announced as of yesterday that not only are esports coming to the Olympics, but they are actually creating the Olympic Esport Games. It will be an entirely new event starting in 2025 in Saudi Arabia. So again, this isn't that they are adding esports to the current Olympic Games. There is an entirely new Olympic Games, again, under the IOC umbrella, started all based around esports. Now, there isn't a ton of information out about it right now. A lot of it is just, hey, a lot of the conversation out there about it right now is that this is something that has been proposed. There's an esports committee, commission that is expressing a lot of excitement and saying that this is going to open up an entirely new generation of fandom and really put this at the forefront in the public eye, in the pop culture eye. Now, I saw a lot of articles yesterday, people in favor of it, people opposed to it, people saying it's cool, but does this detract from the, what makes the Olympics special? And I don't really know. I want to see what they have to do because, we were talking about it right before we went on air. And I said, look, you're not adding esports to the Olympics, which would say, okay, if you were doing something like that, you're saying, all right, we think this is a sport. We think this is an athletic competition, and we're going to have an event that demonstrates why it's special. No, you're not doing that. You're creating an entirely new games. So that tells me that this is going to be an event that is centered around several different types of esport events. And I'm really curious to see what they do, how they do. Is this going to be something where like skills are on display? Because that it interests me and that excites me. If you're talking about we're going to demonstrate, because look, I have talked to folks who are into gaming. One of my best friends in the world, former roommate of mine, he's not a gamer, but he's just one of those dudes that's like, he's just good at gaming. You know, like he can pick up any games, like, what are the controls? And then he figures it out like an above average level immediately, you know, like, and we've talked about gaming at the professional level. Cause I've told him before, like, dude, you pick up games so quickly that I bet if you dedicated yourself, you could maybe get there. And he's like, I don't have any interest in doing that. And two, you know, he has made the argument like, yeah, no, those guys are, they're way, those guys and girls are way better than you think. They're way better than you think. And, you know, they know all the shortcuts. They have special controllers. I mean, like they dedicate countless hours, you know, full 24, 36, 48, 72 hour sessions gaming nonstop. He's like, they're on a much different level. So I don't know. I wouldn't find it very interesting to watch, you know, competitors sit around and play Call of Duty or you know, whatever, Fortnite. So I wouldn't find much interest in just watching them compete and play the games. What I would have interest in is, you know, let's see the skills. Do they develop games? Do they develop programs that are built for these Olympics to demonstrate the fine tuning maybe of how good these gamers are? You know, seriously, I'm thinking shooting, shooting type events, you know, first person type thing. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I can't even come up with like what I think would be ideas here. So I want to see. Oh, look, hold on. This might be a little bit breaking here. Oh, all right. Games such as Call of Duty, Fortnite, Valorant, Counter-Strike, and more will not appear during the 2025 Esports Olympics. All shooting games were left out as part of competition. Like I said, I'm just seeing this right now, so I apologize. Going a little bit off the cuff here. Okay, wow. Here are the games that will be being played. So they are going to do it where players are going to compete in actual games. It's not going to be a, you know, kind of a skills thing like I was just saying. So the 2025 Olympic Esport Games will feature League of Legends, Rocket League, Street Fighter, Tekken, iRacing, NBA 2K, and FIFA, which I bet you will be the most dramatic one of the esports Olympics. So there you go. League of Legends, Rocket League, Street Fighter, Tekken, iRacing, NBA 2K, and FIFA. Ask and you shall receive. I said I'd love to see a list of what they're going to do at the Esport Olympic Games. Boom, right there. Breaking news just coming out just very, very recently. I like it. I'm willing to give it a shot. I've spent this whole week complaining that there's not enough excitement around the Olympics. And saying earlier, I like seeing them get people like Snoop Dogg involved, trying to drive some excitement. I'm down to try anything. The folks here that work with me know I am big on let's try it. And if it works, great, let's perfect it. If it doesn't, let's just never do it again. So I'm all for trying something new. We'll get technically an Olympic competition next year with the very first Esport Olympic Games taking place in Saudi Arabia, featuring League of Legends, Rocket League, Street Fighter, Tekken, iRacing, NBA 2K, and FIFA. Like I said, if you can get the next generation familiar with the Olympic rings and start getting some excitement around that, I'm all for it. I think that's it for Olympics for today. We got about 30 minutes until the opening ceremonies kick off. One final thing we're going to touch on. I just want to build a little bit off of something Liv Moods talked about yesterday, and that is an interesting developing story in the NBA. TNT, one of the more popular sports broadcasting outlets for NBA, had announced that they were losing their rights to the NBA, but they had a chance to match any new offers that were coming in. Again, this guy right here, Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, are part of the NBA on TNT panel. Inside the NBA is maybe the most popular talking heads show in professional sports. They're very highly regarded, Hall of Famers, NBA champions, not Charles Barkley. And their chemistry on set is maybe unmatched in the sports media space. Well, it was announced last week, over the weekend, that the NBA was moving on from TNT as they had accepted offers from Disney, ESPN, as well as Amazon Prime to carry games. Now, again, like I said, in TNT's contract, they had the right to match any offers that were made, and they chose to match the Amazon offer that was made that the NBA had accepted. So, Liv talked about it yesterday, saying, NBA fans rejoice. We're saved. They're not going anywhere. Well, not long after that, it was announced that the NBA was rejecting TNT's matched offer, saying that they didn't actually match the offer, that they were going with the Amazon Prime deal, and that the deal was done. It's over. Well, the NBA on TNT, or just TNT, I guess I should say, and Time Warner responded yesterday by saying that they will be filing legal action against the league and Amazon Prime, stating that they did in fact match the offer and that the NBA was not operating in good faith. While all that was going on, you knew that, again, this guy right here, Charles Barkley, was not going to be able to stay silent for very long. He came out this morning with a statement that reads, and I quote, "Clearly, the NBA wanted to break up with us from the beginning. I'm not sure TNT ever had a chance. TNT matched the money, but the league knows Amazon and these tech companies are the only ones willing to pay for the rights when they double in the future. The NBA didn't want to piss them off. It's a sad day when owners and commissioners choose money over fans. It just sucks. I just want to thank everyone who has been at Turner for the last 24 years. They are the best people and the most talented, and they deserve better. I also want to thank the NBA and its fans, the best fans in sports. We're going to give you everything we have next season." Now, of course, NBA will remain on TNT in this final year of the agreement for the 24-25 season before those rights do officially switch over to Amazon and Amazon Prime at the conclusion of the year. I don't think this will be the last we hear of this situation, especially with folks like Charles Barkley on the panel. I imagine if this stretches into the season, there's potentially even a chance that we'll hear about this in season at the at half times, things like that. Don't imagine this will be the end of it, but Charles Barkley becoming the first of the show hosts to come out publicly and make a statement about everything that's going on. We'll be following this situation, I'm sure, as the lead up to the NBA season approaches in September. Like I said, I doubt this is the last we will hear of this. That's going to do it for us this morning. Went a little bit long today, so thanks for hanging out, guys. Opening ceremony is coming up here in 26 minutes. We're going to get the TV fired up. Oh, I thought maybe it was already on. We're going to get the TV fired up and have the Olympics going all day long. I'll also be back at noon Mountain Time, just an hour and a half from now, to talk Avs, everything NHL for you guys to round out the week. Then at 2 p.m., we will have the folks, the team, coming back from Dove Valley to give you guys a breakdown on everything going on at Broncos training camp as the team is getting on the field today. That's going to do it. Jay and Ruben back there running the board, making sure everything's going out that you guys can see and hear us. I'm Jesse Montano. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you Monday morning.